Hi, it's Dr. Susan Bernstein from The Sensational Shift, and I'm so glad you're here today. Today, I am super excited to interview Carla Malucci Ardito, and she is a yoga therapist. And the reason I so am excited to introduce you to Carla is that she's all about breathing, which to me is all about inspiration. If you want to be more inspired in life, you gotta breathe more. Carla comes from a challenging childhood, and that's part of what got her so interested in breathing. She had asthma and bronchitis and lived in a stressful household. And over her life, she became a singer and performer and noticed that she was always dealing with her body. And she was exploring both how to self-heal and self-soothe. And she got trained in yoga, and she noticed her own sensitivity to herself and others, and found that she was just a natural teacher. Yes, she's trained as a teacher, but it's so natural for her to explain, especially breathing. And she's trained at the Integral Yoga Institute in New York, and she's been teaching breathing workshops for years and years. And if you have an iPhone, she's got an app, Breathing Lessons, that's fantastic. She also has a Facebook page, Breathing Lessons. And so I'm super excited to talk today with Carla Malucci Ardito. And Carla, I want to just first start off by saying thank you so much for tuning in and helping our audience to tune in. I want to understand, why does breath and breathing matter at all?
Yeah. Well, breath is how we live. You can't. To me, it's mind-boggling that the very thing that's keeping us alive we shouldn't be a little bit curious about this thing, because I mean the philosophy in yoga is that you can live for days without food, you can live for weeks without food, I'm sorry, days without water, and you can't live more than a couple of minutes without air. So that would make air the most important thing. And then the way your body takes in that air and oxygen is responsible for the health of every one of your cells. We really breathe on a cellular level. We do not, people think so superficially when they think about breathing, they think, oh, it's going into my lungs and it's coming out. Well, it's going into your lungs, and and the oxygen intake has to go to every cell to keep your cells renewing and to keep you a healthy person. And the change in the body is what keeps you healthy. And oxygen is what burns your food. It causes the fire that gives you energy. Without the oxygen, your body cannot burn food. How much oxygen you get to your brain determines how alert you are. The way you breathe determines how calm, how present you are in the moment. So anything you want to do well, and you want to be present in that moment and not in the future or in the past, the way you're breathing is determining how much you're taking in that moment, how much you're able to absorb and be present.
Yes.
So, I mean, for me, I'm biased. It's everything. It starts with the breathing. I mean, you can't go any further. And once you've breathed well, you can do everything else much better.
I think that's so true. That's been very, very true in my own life, that, learning to breathe effectively. It's not that we don't breathe. Of course we do. And it's something we take so for granted. Like, wow, even when I'm sleeping, I don't have to think and remind myself, breathe, breathe, breathe. It happens. But when we can do it consciously, when I've learned to do it consciously for myself and slow it down and really be full and all of that, and that's where your lessons are so helpful. When we learn to do that for ourselves, it does bring us the gift of greater presence, the gift of greater concentration and clarity, the gift of being able to digest better. There's just so many gifts in consciously breathing, and I think that's what you're really talking about and teaching people. I'm curious, though, why don't people learn to breathe properly?
I think that it's just something that we take for granted. It's like you say, I'm breathing all the time. I mean, that's the answer I get from everybody. I'm breathing. What's the problem? Like I say, when I started teaching the workshop, workshop for breathing? Like, what's going to happen in that? An hour? An hour? What do you want to do for an hour? Like, you're going to learn about your body, how it was meant to breathe. One of the things people don't understand, and it's why they're not curious, is they think they don't have to understand how their body was designed to breathe. But once you learn about how nature designed your body to breathe, you start to be able to work with nature. And you start to realize that you're working against nature and you didn't even know you were working against nature. The problem is that our emotions, what happens to us as children, as young adults, even as adults, that causes us to start breathing less well, more irregularly, emotions that we don't want to feel, traumas that we've gone through, crises in our lives that we have gone through, can keep us in a permanent state of shallow breath and have locks in our body.
So you're talking about things like anxiety that where we
Right.
hold our breath and we don't realize we're doing it, and then it becomes a pattern or a habit.
Exactly. And then that pattern becomes normal for you. You think this is the way everybody feels. And then you don't, but if you can start working with your breath and partner with your breath and learn about how your body was designed to breathe, you can start to realize, oh, everybody doesn't feel this way or live this way. It's just me. I've been hanging on. I haven't been exhaling. I have been getting like 20% of the movement in my body. Recently, I just taught, I mean, I teach the workshop a lot, and the last one I just taught, I tried to do something a little different every time, and I had them all breathe exclusively through their noses and then exclusively through their mouths. And then I taught them the breath that helps you to enhance your body, to calm down. I taught them that breath out through the mouth, in through the nose. All of a sudden, they could feel movement in their body. The first 2 rounds are like, oh, I didn't feel anything moving. Did you feel your ribs moving? Did you feel your chest moving? Did you feel your belly moving? No, I didn't feel anything. And then on the third one, like, oh my God, I felt everything moving. So I said, so you see, if you're breathing through your nose all day long or through your mouth all day long, and your body's not moving, then your body's not really breathing. And you're only a quarter alive or 20% alive. I guarantee.
So what happens for people when they start learning some of these breathing techniques? What do you see? So they learn that they can move. What other benefits do they get that help them in their everyday lives, like in business and their relationships?
Yeah, well, they start to have, what happens is the breath connects you to your body in a way that you start to understand how you act or react in life. It puts you more in touch with when you feel something, what happens to your body. And so then you're able to be a little bit more present in the moment of when someone upsets you or someone makes you sad or someone makes you angry in any way. You can start to be, instead of just having the reaction, you can start to have an awareness of, wow, that reaction, not only did I feel upset, but I felt this tightness in my chest. I felt my breath, my diaphragm's locked, my back locked. And then you can start to go, okay, the problem can be still there, but I can start to release my breath. And then I'll be able to deal with that problem so much better because I'm actually breathing through it instead of locked and then jammed and then reacting. So it's kind of like going back to the question about the issue about the emotions locking us up. If you continue to have these emotions or have these relationship, we all have relationship issues in work, home. But if you continue to let them happen and you continue to, the lock just stays locked, you're not going to move forward and make progress in your life with people. And we all want to evolve, and we want our relationships to evolve. We want our businesses to evolve. Those things aren't going to evolve unless you're evolving. So if you're stuck and your breath is stuck, you're stuck.
Yeah, so I think what you're saying is that the breath is really a great indicator of how we're doing and whether we're being fluid and flexible and responsive or whether we're locked up and tense. And, it's a lot of what I'm promoting in the world, that we need to start noticing where we're carrying tension and dissolve that tension. And one of the best ways to do that is with breath. Carla, I'd love if you would share with us, let's start with one technique that you can recommend for busy professionals, one breathing technique that you've found helpful with people.
Yeah. Well, the technique that I teach the most is if you can, on the train, at your desk, wherever, once a day, a couple of times a day, or when you're upset, just let out an SH sound exhale. It can be almost inaudible. It's kind of like this. It's like, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Can you hear that? It's like a little SH sound. It's very soothing actually to hear it as well as to do it. You can make it practically inaudible and still be doing it. And if you let that SH sound come out very slowly and evenly, so it shouldn't be like shh, with a lot of tension. It's really this delicate thing. And then just allow the breath to come back into your body. Don't try to take a big inhale. Just after that very long SH sound, as long as you can do it comfortably, you just allow inhale to happen. And within I'll say one breath, but for sure within 3 breaths, you're going to feel so different.
Wow.
So differently. Yeah. And that's the beauty of it. It seems like such a simple thing. It seems almost like absurd, but your breath is with you all the time. And a little thing like that can make such a difference.
Wow.
In your day, in your life, And I say that once you start just having any kind of little breath technique that works for you, it's like your body takes over and says, "Wow, this is really good," and it will remind you, like almost like a child reminding you, tugging you at you. Oh, this is the time we get to go have whatever. Your body's going to go, "Oh, this is the come on, let's do one of those breaths." I can't explain that, but it's I've
Well,
seen it. Yeah.
so thank you, Carla. That's actually really, really helpful. And in just a short time, you've helped us to understand why our breaths matter, why we haven't been learning to breathe properly, what does happen when we do it, and when you've given us a tool to use. So I just want to really encourage. Now I want to turn it over to you, the audience, and ask you to try out Carla's technique, to really gently, really, really let that out and see what happens for you. Try it for 1 to 3 breaths. And I'd love you to report back here on the blog what happens for you when you do that. I know you're going to have some kind of a shift, a sensational shift, if you will. Something's going to happen differently in your sensations. I'd love to know how you feel more clarity or more calm or more confident just by doing that. And I really want to, yes, please share that with everybody here on the blog. So that's my big question and challenge to you. What happens to you when you try this out? And I want to say a huge thank you to Carla for being with us today. And remember that you can get her app, Breathing Lessons, and you can also find her on Facebook at Breathing Lessons. Thank you so much, Carla, and everybody. Keep staying inspired and breathing. Thank you so much for watching The Sensational Shift. Take care.